with the Office of Small and Medium Analysts are supporting small businesses as their first. So another myth is that the government on federal procurement. With the Office of Small and Medium Analysts are supporting small businesses as their first. So another myth is that the government on federal procurement. Office of Small and Medium Canada starts supporting small businesses as their first. So another myth is that the government on federal procurement opportunity. With the Office of Small and Medium Canada starts supporting small businesses as their first. So another myth is that the government on federal procurement opportunity. with the Office of Small and Medium that starts supporting small businesses as their first.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to all our members, guests, and panelists. It's February. Happy Black History Month. As we celebrate the great minds and Black excellence, thank you for joining us. Today, we will be discussing about strategic partnership and collaboration, identifying partners where and when, networking and negotiation. My name is Nardos, and I will be your MC today. First of all, I would like to once again welcome each and every one of you for making time to participate in this informative and insightful roundtable. Our audience is excited to have our esteemed speakers, entrepreneurs from diverse sectors, youths of Africa descent representing different parts of the globe, and giving us this huge opportunity to be able to have this conversation with you today. To all our participants and audience, this is a live panel roundtable discussion session. You will have the opportunity to ask questions after the session. Kindly let us know where you're connecting from. Drop your location, if you please, in the chat box. Let people connect with you. Feel free to share what your business is all about or your profession. If you would like to ask some questions, please leave them in the chat box. We will pick them from there to address some of your questions as we go along and add resources that you need through the general chat box. I also encourage you to share the CASA Foundation YouTube link with all your groups, associations, and friends so that they can take advantage of this session with esteemed Black leaders, founders, and groups featured here today. I am delighted to welcome our esteemed speakers today, Patricia Bibamawa, Executive Vice President of Silver Trust Media, Joseph Amankra, Technical Officer, Mechanical and Industrial Engineering, Ryerson University, founder of Camara Skills Training Network, Ryan O'Neill Knight, General Manager, ACBN, Microloan Fund, and last but not least, Dr. Olieti Noyelade, President of CASA Foundation. For our French audience, Sabrina is here to interpret. Sabrina, you have the room now.
Thank you, Nardos. Hi, everyone. Bon, bonjour à tous, mesdames et messieurs. Encore une fois, nous sommes heureux de vous accueillir à cet événement, cette table ronde qui a pour objectif d'explorer les partenariats stratégiques aujourd'hui. Bien sûr, nous sommes au mois de février, donc il s'agit encore de célébrer, encore et toujours évidemment, de célébrer l'excellence des Noirs canadiens. C'est le mois, nous célébrons ce mois et nous sommes heureux que vous joigniez à nous. Aujourd'hui, il sera question des partenariats stratégiques et de la collaboration. Et ensuite, de comment identifier les partenaires et où et comment et quand exactement. Il sera ensuite, enfin, question du réseautage et de la négociation. Il s'agit en fait aujourd'hui d'une session en direct. Donc, vous aurez l'opportunité de poser vos questions après la session. Et surtout, nous vous encourageons à nous laisser un message dans la chat box pour nous dire d'où est-ce que vous venez, d'où est-ce que vous vous connectez. Ça va être une façon pour nous informelle de se rencontrer de façon virtuelle. Si vous avez une question, laissez-la dans la chat box. Nous les récupérerons et nous les adresserons après la table ronde. Nous vous encourageons également à partager le lien de la Fondation CASA qui est sur YouTube avec tous vos amis, vos groupes, vos associations et les leaders de notre communauté. Donc, nous sommes très heureux aujourd'hui d'accueillir chaleureusement nos estimés invités. Alors, il y a aujourd'hui parmi nous Patricia Bibamawa, qui est la vice-présidente exécutive de Silver Trust Media, Ryan O'Neill Knight, qui est le General Manager à ACBN Microloan Fund, qui est le responsable général. Enfin, ensuite, nous avons également avec nous Joseph Amankra, qui est le responsable technique, mécanique et ingénierie industrielle de Ryerson, de l'université Ryerson, et qui est également le fondateur de Camara Skills Training Network. Et enfin, bien sûr, Dr Olutoyin Oyelade, qui est la présidente de la fondation CASA. À vous, Dr Olutoyin.
And now I would like to invite Dr. Olutoyin for the opening remarks.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Nados, and thank you, Sabrina, for that. I really just want to quickly welcome everyone tonight, welcoming you to this wrap-up session that we have for the Black History Month. It's usually a celebration for us, and and for obvious reasons, as we all know. And so tonight is not a night of speeches. I'm not going to make a speech at all. I'm just going to welcome you, and I'm going to be really honored, take the honor of welcoming tonight again our speakers, our guest speakers, who will be joining Ife, the moderator at the roundtable session. But before I do that, tonight in our midst, we have, I just wanted to quickly introduce our guest of honor tonight. In our midst tonight, we have the ambassador of the Kingdom of Morocco in Canada joining us, and Her Excellency Surya Ottomani. We are glad to have you here tonight. Her Excellency has done a lot of work developing communities, supporting Black businesses, and ensuring that various groups, from women to youth, emerging entrepreneurs and startup groups, are able to come together, collaborating to build businesses, to create new businesses, and to grow the Black business space in Canada. Tonight, it gives me great pleasure and great honor to welcome you, Madam Ottomani. I do know that you have some other some of your other colleagues in the room with us, and I would, be really honored to have you introduce all of them also to us, to this other session. Thank you also to all the other speakers, from Patricia and Ryan and Professor Makran. I usually say that. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's such a pleasure. Right now, we're just going to hand that over to you, Her Excellency Ottomani. Have you just say a few welcome remarks, encourage our audience. They want to hear from you, and we'll take it from there before we start the panel. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Dr. Olutoyin Oyelade, for that very kind introduction. Good evening, everyone. I'm so pleased to be here this evening in my capacity as Ambassador of Morocco, but also in my capacity as the current president of AUDIF, which is the African Women Heads of Diplomatic Missions in Ottawa. And I'm also really excited to celebrate the Black History Month with you. The story of Black businesses, entrepreneurship, and the rise of big businesses cannot be complete without mentioning the contributions of the Black community of brothers and sisters in Canada. I think that we have also with us the High Commissioner of Zimbabwe, Ruth Shakwira, and also I can see Rosine Oliveira, who is the Chargée d'Affaires of the Embassy of Gabon in Ottawa. So I'm very pleased that they managed to join us also this evening. So I want to congratulate you all and to underline the good work everyone has been doing. Thank you to the CASA Foundation for International Development and Entrepreneurs Point for bringing us together again today to celebrate this Black History Month and to gain more knowledge on how the businesses can pivot after this pandemic using the Black Advisory Club. Today, I'm so pleased to be here with some of my colleagues, those who I just mentioned. and ambassador that they are all members of the African Women Diplomats in Africa, of Africa. As you and I know, we have a lot of groups within the Black community and other supporting communities, because everyone is interested in the development, empowerment, and advancement of our community. The pandemic has caused a lot of disparities in socio-economic development aspects of our lives. We all experience that. And Black-owned businesses also suffer from that. And all people of color have been more affected. Our goal is to use our means and forums, such the African Women Diplomatic Forum, to show solidarity and support to your needs. Some want to expand their businesses, understand trade with other countries, get introductions to new partners. And of course, we would like to know more and to understand more about all what you are doing, and in order to assist in any way we can. From the feedback and updates I get, there is more collaboration now, more than ever before, as we see organizations working together to improve businesses, to improve businesses, lives, and the state of Black businesses. I am more pleased that NPOs like Casa Foundation from the African community and others are at the forefront of this very nice initiatives. Like the Black Advisory Hub Accelerator under the government fundings. This will help to develop, for sure, more skills and to create businesses for the community. And that is why we are here this evening to show, as I said, our support and our solidarity to them and to their businesses. We wish you plenty of success in all your initiatives, and we are looking forward to more collaboration, especially by the means of Casa Foundation. So thank you so very much to all of you, and enjoy very much the evening.
Without further delay, let's begin our roundtable discussion. I would like to welcome our program director, Ify, who would be moderating the roundtable for today. Ify, over to you.
Hello and welcome, everyone. Just want to take an opportunity to just thank our speakers who are going to be participating in this roundtable. So if Professor Joseph and Patricia and Ryan could just come to the screen and we can get started. But before we get started, I would love if each speaker could just give us maybe just a minute or two short introduction of themselves for our audience. I know they're very excited to hear about you guys. So we can just start it off with Patricia.
Okay, thank you so much. And hi, everyone. It's my pleasure to join you for this event. And I'd like to congratulate Casa Foundation for all the amazing projects, and like to especially, congratulate Dr. Olutoyin, who is one of my role models. I really respect and look up to her. Well, my name is Patricia Baby-Amawa, as you mentioned. I'm the Executive Vice President of Silver Trust Media and Afro Global Television. Our companies are into publishing, broadcasting, special events, marketing, and some other, initiatives. And I'm also a film and a TV producer, as well as a writer. I've published a book called 150 Extraordinary Canadians, and I'm actually writing my second book right now. So I like to call myself a serial entrepreneur. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
I love it. Actually, you should tell us more about that second book. Maybe the audience can get a little sneak peek before everyone else. So, just have that in the back of your mind. Professor Joseph, if you want to go next.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to the panel. And Ambassador Otumyami, thank you so much for your introduction. My name is Joseph Amankra. I have to actually state that I'm retired from Rice University now. Okay, but it doesn't seem like I've been retired. Busier now. I'm the executive director of an organization called Kamara Skills Training Network. The focus of Kamara Skills Training is basically to introduce the industrial skill trades for the secondary industries in the world to the Black community, and also emphasizing the need of women to be in those skills as well. Most of my work now is being conducted in Africa, in Ethiopia. I used to work with United Nations doing the assessment of TVET centers in Liberia. And so this world of experience of international is basically what I've focused on and what I'm trying to introduce to a lot of businesses, entrepreneurships in Canada to look at a wider gambit of Africa as a base for doing business, because you're dealing with 1.4 billion people as opposed to 32 million. There's another area you can look at. So I want to thank Dr. Olayade for putting this forward and the success she's had with the Black History Hub. And I hope a lot more will come from this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Ryan, you can go next.
Much appreciated, Ify. For those that don't know me, my name is Ryan Knight. I'm one of the co-founders of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network. We work with entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage to figure out what stage they're in today and help them create a blueprint to grow their companies exponentially. We started with just info sessions and networking events. We've now shifted to capacity building. So we started our own microloan program and also our marketing agency. And I'm an entrepreneur myself. I run a company called Detailing Nights. So I know the struggle and I know the access to capital is the big barrier. So I feel like I've made it my life mission to figure out how to get as much capital into our entrepreneurs' hands as possible.
Amazing. So we have a lot of great minds on the panel today. So like I said, like our MC Nardo said before, don't hesitate to put your questions in the comment below. This is the best time to start asking those questions, especially those capital ones, because I know that's always a big one when it comes with entrepreneurship. And we have Ryan over here to answer these questions. So let's just get started and let's just get to it. So our main topic today is on strategic partnership. So I just want to start with that question. What is strategic partnership to you guys? So anyone can take it.
I think Patricia should start because they've been doing it the best. I've seen your sizzle reel of all those mega players that you guys are partnering with. So I want to learn about how you do it.
Oh, well, yeah, thank you, Ryan. And it's so great to see you. And, congrats on all the amazing work that you're doing. Yeah, strategic partnership is great. I mean, we have been doing this for so many years with so many, community partners, as well as, with other entrepreneurs as well. Strategic partnership is actually coming into, some sort of agreement, which, could be either some sort of a joint venture. It could also be something that is contractual, or just sort of like not a very formal agreement, but some sort of a more casual agreement between two either entities, organizations, or companies, to actually undertake certain projects or services, or offer services. It can also be called strategic alliance. So it's coming together for a common purpose to actually offer a service to your customers for mutual benefit.
Yeah, most definitely. Ryan, would you have anything to add on to that?
Yeah, one thing that I'm realizing is the way forward is through collaboration. Doing things on our own in silos, I feel like that is the abnormal way that people are going to look at us strange if we try to do things on our own. Going forward, it's all about who can you partner with to really amplify what you're doing. And I talk a lot about, especially with grants, and not trying to go after grants. If you're a for-profit company on your own, partner with a nonprofit that has a similar mission. So that's what I love about what Silver Trust Media and Afro Global does, is they create the platform for collaboration and for partnership. And really now we don't have that excuse of, oh, Black people can't work together, because we can point over there and see us working together and then use that as a blueprint for anything else that we want to achieve. So yeah, there's no way forward without collaboration in my mind.
Exactly.
I'd like to add something, but it's a little bit different to the entrepreneurship side of things, because the areas that I've been involved with collaboration is basically to do with the introduction of skills, industrial training, and so forth for underrepresented groups. And what I found out about these strategic partnerships, that you have to be careful as to what you'll bring into the partnership and what the partnership can give to you, especially if the entity you're dealing with is larger than yourself, and they can see what you have to offer them, but nothing to offer back to you. So you have to be strategic in the essence of knowing what you want from them initially before you go into this. Because 9 times out of 10, a lot of people see the large organization thinking they're going to help pull you along, but sometimes they just take from what you have. So this is one thing I want people to be aware of when it comes to strategic partnerships, especially with bigger entities that actually you think they have more to offer you, but sometimes they don't. So you have to do your homework, understand it. What is it they have that you can address right away, and what they can give you before you enter into any of these type of agreements.
Well, yeah, that's so important. And I apologize. I just wanted to piggyback that real quick, because we were talking about that earlier, about knowing your value. And that hits the nail on the head. You're in this partnership, and a lot of times we don't realize our value. So the relationship becomes very extractive. So we have to understand, like, hey, it has to go both ways. So I thought that hits the nail on the head. So true.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, especially like a lot of people selling themselves short and then also selling their business short, which actually will bring me to my next question. How are you able to see that value? Like, where do you get that value from in relation to whether it's your business or the skills that you're bringing? I guess like there's going to be some give and take, but like, how do you present that value to whether it's the big entity or whoever you're trying to start these strategic relationships with?
I think first of all, before you go into a strategic partnership, you have to know your worth, your value, and your strength. So as an organization or a company, what can you bring to the table that will be of benefit? Because people actually go into strategic partnerships, so that they can actually, gain more grounds and reach more clients or a bigger audience or save costs and stuff like that. So if you're going into a partnership, you have to know what you're bringing to the table. And also you have to know what your partner is going to bring to the table and how is it going to, mutually benefit both parties. So once you know what your strengths are, and it's easy to convince other people to see the the leverage that the relationship will bring to both parties. And the other thing is, if you're going into a strategic partnership, like the professor said earlier, you have to make sure that you're not swallowed, because sometimes when you go into strategic partnership with other organizations, you may end up being swallowed, and you have to make sure that you kind of have clear contracts in place, very succinct, plans on what you're going to do, who's going to do what, and all that kind of stuff, to make sure that everyone knows their lane. And at the end of the day, no one is left out. So you have to be willing to carry everyone along and make sure that, both parties, feel equally, present in the partnership, and they're actually benefiting and able to put in what, they're best at doing, so the partner with, a particular strength to be the one to put in, things that are related to their field and expertise and stuff like that. Yeah.
It's interesting because it forces you to audit yourself. A lot of times we're just operating our businesses or running our organizations, and again, never really stepping back to see this intellectual property that I have or I've created does have value. And it takes you really asking the market to see what it's worth, because a person can create an idea and they think it's priceless, but the market does not agree. So nobody really wants to pay for it. So you have to really do that trial and error to see, okay, these things that I've created, this is what is worth on the market. So now when you partner with an organization, again, like Joseph was saying, that might be bigger than you at least know what you're bringing to the table, and you can say, hey, I know on the market, my services or my intellectual property would be worth around X. That might be a benchmark to say, this is what I want to be receiving. But that also brings to mind, like, I feel as a community, we do a lot of things with our heart. We just want to see things get done. So I hate contracts, but they're so important because it really it makes it clear what both sides of the table are bringing. What both sides are bringing to the table. But again, maybe Patricia, you could walk through, how do you have that contract conversation with potential partners? Because I know I get anxiety where I'm like, and so should we start looking at the contract, and should we, and I just get nervous about it. So I'm curious how you handle it.
Yeah, the thing about partnership is that there has to be a level of trust and understanding, because you're right. Sometimes contracts kind of are scary, but in going into partnership, it's also good to understand, who the other party is, their track record, and make sure that you're not going into partnership with people who do not have integrity. Because the contract is a piece of paper, but in most contracts you see that there are always gray areas. There's always things that both parties did not think about, and sometimes that's when who is a good person and who's a bad person, because at that point you see sometimes when you're in partnership with people and there's a gray area that is to your disadvantage and they're not willing to empathize, then you're in a bad sort of situation. And I always like to go into contracts with people who have integrity, because you cannot legislate hearts. Sometimes it comes a time when you have to kind of do the right thing, and just, but I always like contracts and agreements. It doesn't have to be too formal, but it just, leaves out ambiguity and helps everyone know exactly what they're going to be doing and the results that are expected. So, you're able to measure results and know what these other people are doing and all that. But the most important thing is your interest. So going into partnership with people that have common interests, that really helps. Like if you have common interests and you know that, okay, this is the outcome that we want, it kind of helps to make sure that everyone is focused, you're passionate about the same thing, you're going towards the same goal. Like we've partnered with a few community organizations to execute a lot of projects, and sometimes we come to realize that there's always a lopsided sort of output when it comes to doing the work. So having learned that lesson, we kind of make it very clear, this is what you're going to do. This is the extent, that we're going to, do this, and then you're going to do that. But sometimes if you're in a partnership and you're responsible and your partner is not, your strategic partner is not doing what they're supposed to do, and you have clients or you have people that are waiting on you to get this thing done, you may have to step up. But then you learn as you go, right? So once the thing is, if you have partners who didn't, do what they're supposed to do, and then next time you pick other partners. But what has really helped us is making sure that we have a contract, making sure that we work with people who are like-minded. We get to know the people a little bit, so you don't start a big project with, you don't start like $1 million project with a partner that you're not sure of. You start with like a $50,000 project with them and see how things work out. And then, once you have worked well together, then you begin to do bigger things. That's what I would say about that.
Can I just add something to this? Because one of the issues that I find, especially when you come to entrepreneurship, understanding the business you're in, you have to identify, is it going to be a service industry or a product related industry? And those two variations are basically what you'll take into a partnership or a collaboration. Understanding that partnership and collaboration is a business entity. You have to look at the intellectual property that you're bringing into this business entity. Okay, Now, if that business intellectual property is a service that you've designed that's generic to you, this is something you have to protect in the sense of what using it in the operation. And the same thing as a product you're selling on the market as an entrepreneur. You've designed something, you have the intellectual property of that. All you're doing going in partnership is to say, okay, you're a retailer, we can work with you as a retailer to promote it and so forth. That you got to understand that that property still belongs to you. And I think this is where a lot of entrepreneurs fall short. They give everything out as a business partnership, and then they lose control. And this is where you have to set the ground rules of understanding what is yours, okay, as a business, as an item that you have designed yourself. The partnership is a business proposition. You still make sure you have that property that belongs to you, that you've designed, that it's yours before you go into this. Because I've seen it many times, and I have to admit, I've been part and parcel of that, because you get excited, you're working with governments and they want to see your business proposal to address issues. So you give it to them, oh yes, everything's great. And all of a sudden they disappear. Your business plan is gone, your planning is gone, but I'm lucky in the sense that I'm lucky that I'm in engineering. And most of the time, most of these collaborations or partnerships see dollar signs. They look at the financial bottom line of the proposal or what you're bringing to them as an entity. Once they see that, they take it off. But one thing you should never be is afraid of losing that, because you have it in your heart and your brain. Somebody's seeing dollar signs, that's why they'll take it. So that fear factor is there. So from experience, I try to tell people, make sure you protect that entity before you get into this, because it can disappear like that because of your excitement, because somebody else is bringing a wider exposure to what you're trying to do. And so we all get excited and say, wow, this is what I'm going to do. And you lose control. Okay, I just want to add that to the conversation.
Yeah, no, most definitely. So I guess that will bring up the next question. How do we now make sure that us as entrepreneurs, we're identifying the right strategic partners to take these plunges with, to take this step forward with? Because obviously not every strategic partner that's coming to you or that has that opportunity might be the right one for you. So what are the steps, or how do we identify those strategic partners that we should go ahead with?
I feel like Andrew was in my brain when he was talking about, you get so excited, you hear about a new partnership, you're like, yes, let's run with it. And I'm a person that's all about show me if you're serious through your actions. Like in job interviews, and my HR manager will tell you, I am not very good at hiring people because I hire everybody. If I sit down and I'm talking to you and you're telling me that you're willing to do the work and you're excellent, I'm going to believe you. But then I'm going to watch your actions at work and see how you actually perform. And that's where I really make my determinations. So with partnerships, it's the same thing. I'm willing to partner with anybody that says they have the similar mission. But now, like Patricia was alluding to, if you're seeing they're not holding up their side of the bargain or carrying their weight, you have to be able to cut ties and say, you know what, this isn't working because it's lopsided, or like Joseph was saying, they've taken your idea and just ran away with it. So really being able to analyze how the partnership's going is where I focus. But that pre-work, I think I need work on how do I analyze before I get into partnerships. So I'm going to sit back with my notepad and learn a bit from Joseph and Patricia for right now.
Yeah. So in identifying a strategic partner, first you have to ask yourself, what am I looking for in a partner? What are your goals? What are your objectives? And also, who are your target audience? Who are you trying to reach? And your strategic partner, who are they trying to reach? For instance, the strategic partnership between Walmart and McDonald's, for instance, or Burger King and Chapters. Starbucks, not Burger King, Starbucks and Chapters and Indigo stores. So when you're going to a Chapters store, you have Starbucks. So they have come into this, partnership where, Chapters and Indigo stores are like the landlord, but then it goes beyond being a landlord because they're actually in their space. So it's a strategic partnership. So the thing is, most times when people are reading, you know, they want to be sipping something, right? And so there's a thing where, you know, now they've come into this partnership to reach the same audience. So our audience like coffee and they like to read. So they have the same audience. So think about the audience. Who are you trying to reach? And for instance, many years ago, we went into a strategic partnership with General Motors. So we used to have this event, the Excellence Awards. It used to be called Planet Africa Awards then at the Roy Thompson Hall. And so General Motors, they were trying to push certain brands, their Cadillac especially, and they thought the people who get these awards are like, you know, successful people, and we want to reach that demographic. And they came, we actually had a meeting and they said, okay, let's come into this partnership where they gave us 2 cars. They gave us 2 cars and a certain amount of money, you know, and they said, okay, so when you have this event, we'll bring our cars and park them right in the venue. So when you came into the Roy Thompson Hall, they actually had a car in, you know, the lobby, and they put on the car the Planet Africa Awards, but it was, you know, one of their cars, and people could enter, they could, you know, just feel the leather and just, you know, touch the car and like, oh, I want to drive one of this. And they had salespeople right there to say, you know, would you like to come and test drive one at one of our dealerships? And then guess what? So we, in turn, they let us distribute our magazines in all the GM dealerships across the GTA. So we went that partnership, I think about 3 years. And then they were on the back cover of our magazine. So that partnership helped because they were trying to reach the demographic that we were servicing. So they wanted to reach, you know, successful Black people, and, you know, we were honoring them. So they thought, you know, why don't we come into this partnership? We had the same target audience. And so think about your audience and what you want to achieve. Know exactly what you want to achieve. Because like, you know, Ryan and Joseph said, if you don't know what you want to achieve from a partnership, you won't even know when you're being taken advantage of. You won't even know when it's not working. So have clear goals so that you can measure results and know if this partnership is really working. So once you know the audience you're trying to target, so you have to find partners that are targeting the same audience. And sometimes strategic partnership can be beneficial and sometimes may not be beneficial. As we talked about earlier on, you have to find people that have a track record, that have credibility. Because if you, for instance, look at us, you know, in partnership with General Motors, that right away, you know, gave us credibility. And because General Motors was trying to reach our community, they got credibility in the eyes of our community members because they were kind of partnering with a respected brand in the Black community. So you have to think about credibility because it will rub off on you. If you're actually partnering with a partner that does not have, you know, a good image or brand, they're going to drag you with them. So that's very important. And also look for companies that, you know, will be able to kind of bring resources to the table, because one of the reasons companies go into strategic partnerships sometimes is to save money and to increase their resources. I mean, to increase their income. So to save their, their expenditure and increase their resources. So find companies that will be able to do that for you. And finally, just look for companies that, that are easy, to work with, because sometimes some companies may have very rigid, working sort of, operational sort of clogs, if you will, or red tape. So if you want to do something, it would take, weeks. They have to speak to the board, and the board, they meet like once a month. So think about things like that. How long will it take for you to achieve the goal that you want to achieve? And with this partner's operational, sort of ways fit with what you're trying to achieve.
Extremely well said. Oh, Joseph, it looks like you want to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something quickly. One thing a lot of entrepreneurs tend to fail to continue doing is utilizing the what they developed during their business plan. Okay, and having a business plan is a living document. It's constantly working and changing. And one of the important parts of your business plan is the SWOT analysis. There's a reason why a lot of people, when they're doing their business plan, when they get to the SWOT analysis, they start to fear. Okay, what am I looking for? I'm trying to do this. If you take those 4 different areas in the SWOT analysis to look at partnerships, you will see how it comes out. And then when you put all the checks and balances together, you can say, okay, I can go with this company because I'm bringing this to them. Okay, I have a weakness in this. What is the threat? They can overtake what I've got. So if you could use that sort of premise in doing your interviewing or trying to find a partner in a strategic sort of way, you've got the tools that can help you. Because using that SWOT analysis, it kind of slows you down a little bit. It slows you down from the excitement of a company calls you up and say, oh, we're interested in what you do. Oh, yes. Oh, no, slow down. Okay, use the SWOT analysis, find out what this company does. What is it they offer? What is it they've done in the history of things working with groups? Do they have a tendency of having everything that has to be done through a board? And how do you get to be able to talk to the board in the operational ways? So it's important that you use the SWOT analysis. It's there for a reason. And it's there for a reason when you're doing your business plan that it's one of the hardest areas to you to put anything into. Okay, I just want to make you be aware of that. It's there for you. It's a living document. Utilize it in ways that can help you. Okay.
Very well said, exactly. And so in relation to what we've been talking about, I actually have a question from someone from the audience. So we've been talking about markets, the market for strategic partnerships, but I think for some people, especially Black people, it's that some of them are service-oriented and are often rejected or dismissed when looking for strategic partnerships. So how would one deal with that and overcome that type of rejection? And what can they do as they continue to move on and finding more strategic partnerships?
Yeah, well, I think that as an entrepreneur, you have to have tough skin. And I like to say, I don't just have tough skin, I have marble skin, because it's true. It's not a terrain for the faint of heart, honestly speaking, because you have to be willing to hear a no that hits you below your belt and get up and go again and ask again. And for instance, when we wanted to go into partnership with Omni TV for content production, they said no to us for like 3 years, right? But when I said no this time, next time we'll be like, okay, can you give us feedback about why you don't want to go into this partnership? They'll be like, ABC, we'll come back again and again and again. And at some point they're like, oh, now we're ready. We like what you've brought and we're ready. So you have to be willing to, and now one of their biggest, partners in the Black community, we provide them with a lot of content, like, for Black History Month and other times. And we have a show there and we produce a few specials. So you have to be willing to be innovative and creative and don't give up. If they say no to you, no doesn't really mean that they're not interested. It may mean that what you're telling them is not really benefiting them. So try to understand the people you want to go into partnership with. What do they want? Because it's all about what is in it for me, right? As business people, as companies, even organizations, non-for-profit, whatever, if you're going into a strategic partnership with someone, they want to know what is in it for me. So if you want to go into partnership with, a company and you're talking to them about what you want, that's not going to make sense for them. You have to, before you go into to talk to them, you have to ask yourself this question: what is in it for them? So that when you're pitching, you're telling them more about how they're gonna, gain from the collaboration and the alliance. Because if you focus on what you want, they're gonna be like, what is in it for us? And if you cannot answer that question, they'll be like, no, we're not interested. So know that, and when you hear the no, try to get a feedback. Whenever somebody says no to me, I want to know, why did you say no? Is it because you didn't like the idea, or is it because it's not the right time? And once you know why they said no, then you can go back and recalibrate or repackage your proposal and go back to them again. And depending on what the feedback is, it may mean next. So, and don't take that personally. You know, like that's the thing with business. I used to be very, very emotional when I just started, you know, doing business. Somebody says no to me. Sometimes I will cry, I'll feel bad. But now my skin is so tough that if you say no, that may not be the last time you're going to hear from me though. I want to know why you said no. Sometimes you may not be able to tell me why you said no. I'll try to figure it out myself and then I'll come back again. And then if it's something that I think is next, I go to the next person. So don't take it personally. Business, no emotions, just move on to the next and, you know, keep doing your thing. And I think if you do these things, you will definitely, you know, find good partners you can collaborate with.
Oh, it's so hard to keep emotions out of business. We are sun people, but we have to use no as ammunition. When a person tells me no, and you actually said it, Patricia, when you start to dig deeper into why they said no, they're actually giving you the ingredients for your pitch deck the next time. So if they say no for XYZ reason, and those reasons why, that's what's going in my pitch deck to say, hey, remember you said these were your concerns? Boom, now they've been addressed. Let's go now. And like what you did with Omni, for 3 years, you were coming back and saying, okay, we fixed this, we fixed that. And then finally they're like, there's nothing left to say no to. Let's just do it and see how it goes. So really understanding that no that you're hearing is actually a blessing. Because if people give you the counterfeit yes, which I started to call when a person will just smile and nod their head and say, oh yeah, let's do it. And then they just disappear, they won't sign the contract, they won't cut the check. That to me is a bigger waste of time than a person that says, no, here's why. And either they're totally not interested and not a fit, and you can still take that learning to the next situation where you can say, okay, based on what I'm hearing from the market, this is how we should be approaching. And now your next presentation is going to be so much stronger.
No, exactly. It's basically like an interview. Like they might say you didn't get the job or anything like that. So that doesn't mean like you give up and now you're not just going to stop looking for a job. No, you just take the feedback that they give you and then you go back and you apply for more. And then you just wait for that one person to say you got it and send that offer and you're golden. So yes, I definitely like that. We definitely have to have that tough skin and continue to persevere. Just treat every no as a lesson learned and an opportunity to be better. So now our audience, they're really enjoying this round table. And I know we only have about like 8 minutes left. So I'm trying to keep it going and asking as much questions as I can. So here we have another question from someone in the comments. So a lot of people are entrepreneurs. They want to know how they can get the partners to help grow their businesses. Like they've seen the great companies, they want to be great. How can they connect with partners that are strategic, whether it's without getting burnt out or without going to the wrong ones or coming across as desperate, but like they want to know like, what do they need to do in order to get these partners? And then how do they go about getting them?
I'm happy to take that because I like the carpet bomb approach where you look at what criteria, and I think Joseph was talking about that, identifying what you're looking for. And then I say, don't try and do it all yourself. Research is a very tedious task. Look at Fiverr, which is a website that you can get help with like a virtual assistant, get a student intern or hire somebody that will do research for you and find and create that list of all those people that are perfect fits or really excellent potential partners and have that initial outreach to them. And then with that help, you're able to book those meetings because it's going to take a lot of outreach to get interest and a lot of interest to get meetings. And then out of those meetings, again, you got to sell yourself. So it's going to take some time. Building relationships with potential partners takes time. I've never entered a partnership where I had no relationship with this organization or this person. And again, organizations are just people that are running them, same with businesses. So you really have to do the grunt work and find out what potential partners you want to reach out to, create a system to do that prospecting and outreach, and then have as many meetings and build as many relationships as possible.
Can I just say something to that? one of the things as an entrepreneur, a new entrepreneur, is basically trying to survive. The essence of trying to survive tends to leave you vulnerable. So you're trying to get as much as you can to keep your head above water, but then sometimes you sell yourself short. Because one of the things you're going to find when you approach these partners you feel they can help you excel to the next step, there are certain tough questions they're going to ask you, and you've got to be prepared to answer them. Now, because there'll be questions that you don't even think of, and that's what they're going to ask you, and that's when it's going to stump you, right? And this you will gain by every time you go to a partner to look for that partnership. Learn from that, because let somebody ask you the tough questions, right? Somebody that doesn't understand your business, because that's where the questions are going to come from. Now sell yourself. You know, if you've got a service, what is the difference between your service and somebody else's service is doing the same thing? And so this is what you need to be able to bring forward when you go to looking for partnerships, because that's what they're going to ask you. You know, I guess I'm so old now, these sort of things kind of fall off my back, you know, because you know they're going to ask you the tough questions. You better be prepared for it. And these are the things you should be having in your closet when you start going in there. I know. Okay.
Yeah, and I just add quickly to that. You know, someone asked me a question once, which I didn't answer correctly, but it taught me a lot. I mean, the question was, do you want to be a small fish in a big pond, or do you want to be a big fish in a small pond? So do you want to be a small fish in a big pond, or a big fish in a small pond? So sometimes as entrepreneurs, we have this idea and we want to hold on to it. We just want to be the only ones who want to be the star of whatever we're doing, you know, but that's having, you know, the mentality of a small fish in a big pond. If you want to be a big fish, you know, I'm sorry, being a big fish in a small pond. If you want to be a small fish in a big pond, even though you are a small fish, the pond may be like so big that you're bigger than so many big fishes that are in small ponds, right? So you just want to make sure that you're willing to let go, because as entrepreneurs, we covet our ideas, we covet our businesses. We want, you know, we feel like we're the only ones that can do it the way we want to do it. We don't want to bring other people on board, you know, and but then, you know, strategic partnership is very beneficial. I know there's some disadvantages, but if you do it right, it's very beneficial because it helps you to reach, you know, an audience, people that you ordinarily would not reach. It reduces, you know, resources. It helps with, you know, innovation, because, you know, you have other people now with their ideas and, you know, their expertise, you know, coming on the table. So do not be small-minded. Think big, and do not hold on to your business idea or whatever too much. But at the same time, as Joseph and you know, Ryan said earlier, just be careful to make sure that you have your, you know, your corporate integrity is protected, because sometimes, you know, when your corporate integrity is not protected, you can get, you know, sort of swallowed or disappear, or, you know, folks could just take over your business and stuff like that. But be willing to open up, to give up a little bit of, you know, your stuff, depending on what you're doing. And in the service industries, it's easier even to have strategic partners. For instance, there's someone that came to us and say, you know, once, I want advertising, but I don't have the money. Can I clean your office once a month and I will, you know, get advertising in return? So that's a good strategic partnership. It doesn't cost each partner a lot of money, but it's mutually beneficial. So there are little things like that. In the service industry, you can get so many things. You can say, okay, you know, I am a hairdresser, you know, can I come and do your hair in return? Maybe you do this for my business. So think very deep, you know, and see how you can have partners that, you know, will help your business, not just to grow, but to increase, you know, the audience that you're able to reach.
I can just say something quickly, because Patricia just said something that I guess a lot of us have, I guess I haven't forgotten because I'm too old. There is what you used to call a barter system. Okay, a lot of people don't know what that is. Again, a barter system is that I have a service or I have goods that I want to barter for your services or your goods. And one of the things I'm finding, especially with entrepreneurships, especially in the Black community, there's a lot of fragmentation, where a lot of people are doing the same thing, okay, trying to get what they can out of the same pond. And what I try to tell people is that, what is it you have that this other entrepreneur doesn't have? And you're both in the same service. So the partnerships are there, not in the big sense, but in the sense of somebody that's struggling the same as you. And that support that can be generated from having that connection between the two of you, or three or four, right? It's the semblance of a big company. And so don't just look at the big areas, look at the small ones too, that you can work together without having to pay so much off of it. Because you might have a partner that's got, as Patricia says, has a link to advertising. But what they're trying, that service they're trying to advertise is not as clean cut as it should be. But you've got a service that's clean cut that does the same thing. Why can't you two talk? You know, so these are things that you should be looking at to try and look for partnerships, and that actually is being strategic.
I love that. I love that. So we're almost out of time, so I think we can do one more question. And since we're talking about it, so we have someone who, it's basically, when do you know is the right time to have a strategic partner? So for example, an entrepreneur, they're in the infancy stage of their business. When do they know it's the right time to bring in a strategic partner? Should they, I guess, get the foundation first and then approach? Or is it just something that you will know that it's the right time?
I think, before you, go into strategic partnership, you have to have some sort of foundation. As I said earlier, right, people do not want to partner with people who are not going to bring value to them. So what value are you going to bring? Ask yourself that. Because you see, when you're trying to go into partnership with another company, you're thinking about what you want from them, but they're thinking about what you're going to bring to them. So once you know, I have something to bring to the table, I have value, that I can bring to the table, that's, when you begin to think about strategic partnership. And the other thing I want to mention is that Joseph mentioned that in our community, or is it, Ryan, I'm not sure anymore, but mentioned the whole thing about we tend to do the same thing. And I think sometimes, that's a problem. For instance, if there are times when we had ideas, we saw that somebody else in the community is doing that same thing. And we think, why do the same thing? So we just support them, like we once one time, well, this is on the non-community side, we wanted to do this thing to do with fashion, and then there's already African Fashion Week. When we realized that there was African Fashion Week, we now said, okay, you know what, we're gonna partner with you to do this. This is the idea we had, and they're like, okay, great. So you have to be able to, as I said earlier, let's not all do the same thing. If you know somebody who's doing it, great, and you have something you can bring to the table, have a conversation so your companies can come together and do this thing. So number one is make sure that you have a foundation. Number two, you need a strategic partner when you have needs, right? Because you're not just going into partnership for partnership's sake. What are your needs and who can fulfill those needs? So then you begin to kind of seek out companies that, will be able to help you get to where you want to get to, but then that you can bring value to. That's very important. Always think about it. This is what you want, but what is in it for them? Once you've settled that, then you're ready to go into partnership. Then you begin to figure out which companies are going to help me achieve my objectives and my goals, and then you can go after them.
Can I say one thing I'd like to mention? A lot of people go into business and they start the business and they get to a point where they've saturated the market in that area. Okay, where there's not a repeat customer, people, maybe the product you're selling is only a one-time shot. and is trying to understand what it is you're selling. Is it something that can have a turnover, or is it going to be a product that once it's gone, it's gone? If you don't have that in your initial plan to try and find a strategic partnership, you need to know, okay, I've got to do something different, because that is a sign that maybe you need a partner that's got a broader base than you do. Okay, so you have the aspect of obsolescence in what you're trying to do. And if the obsolescence comes in an area where you realize you can't reach anybody else because you've saturated that market, then you start realizing, I need a partner. And if in your business plan, you can see that happening because of the product you're trying to sell, you need to have that in mind right away, because that is the question a partner is going to ask you. Okay, and say, okay, what after you've done all this, then what happens? Is there a return business on what you're doing? If the answer is no, then what good is it? Because if it's not return businesses, if there's not a built-in obsolescence in what you're selling, so people come back, it becomes an issue. Okay, so these are the signs. If you've got your business plan already set, and you find that you've got that built-in, you don't have that built-in obsolescence inside your business plan on the product you're doing, you need to go back and review it.
And one quick piece I would add to that is your business planning will dictate like the growth plan or the growth trajectory. And partnerships are typically helping you grow beyond the means that you can grow on your own. So when you see, like if you have the vision to grow your company by 10x, you have to look at, okay, what types of partners do I need to be able to execute that? So that should really be dictating, exactly like Joseph was saying, your business plan dictates when you need partners, and you should be doing your market research to see who's in the, I would say in the industry or complementary industries, so that you're always looking for partners to help you grow your business.
Exactly. Thank you very much. So now as our time is up, I just want to give a lot of thanks to our panelists. Our audience are just in the comments raving, a lot of people saying they enjoyed it. They really learned a lot. Even me, I've learned a good amount, like a lot of tidbits that I can take and apply. So again, thank you everyone for your participation. We'll now be closing, so I'll pass it over to Dr. Oyelade to give the closing comments. Again, thank you to our panelists, and thank you to our viewers for participating.
All right, thank you everyone. Thank you so much to our esteemed panelists. Such a joy, such a pleasure to see you all here again tonight. Professor Joseph, as I usually say, and Patricia, Ryan, it's such a pleasure to see you all on our platform tonight. Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. And I'm confident, Patricia, I'm really confident that when next we call you, you'll be right here with us, and so also Prof and Ryan. Thank you so very much. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure I speak the minds of every one of us here when I say that we've had such great insights have been shared tonight, and so we've had a wonderful time, an enlightening time. I'm just going to ask again that you pardon us for the time, the extra minute, and you give me one more minute, because tonight I really can't close this meeting without really quickly recognizing and acknowledging the presence of some of our ambassadors in the room tonight. First, let me quickly say thank you so much, Her Excellency Ambassador Surya Ottomani of Morocco, for joining us. Thank you so much, and thank you for the opening remarks. But tonight, I see also that we have in the room with us tonight the Ambassador of the Republic of Senegal and the Ambassador of the Republic of Gabon. And I just want to say thank you so much, Her Excellency, Madame Bampasi, and Her Excellency, Rosin Oliveria. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know you haven't, we haven't really had the time for you to share your comments, and I'm sure that our audience would have loved to hear you say a few words. But I want to assure you that we do have a next session coming up the first week in March, and at that session, definitely we will be able to hear from you, because I'm sure the audience would really love to hear from you. But tonight, because we've come to the end of this session, we are thankful that you made it a date with us, and we look forward to having you again with us in March. Thank you, everyone. And thank you so much, all the participants. We look forward to seeing you in March. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks again.
Stay safe, everybody. Take care.